Hey guys, I'm at the community garden today just to kind of get an overview of the status of the garden. We've had a crazy year last year with the weather and people participating or not participating, and we had a lot of issues with deer and a lot of issues with weeds and things getting overgrown. So I thought I would just do a quick update. We had some beds repaired, new wood put in, maybe 5 on this side, and then on the far side, there were 10 new beds there. The share the harvest is overgrown, and we have some abandoned beds. And then the other thing that's going on is we have a deer presence that eats all our vegetables, those little buggers. So let me do a quick film. It's kind of overcast today. Like I said, it's the 10th of January, and gardening is all about planning. So let's get some planning done. Okay, this is one of the problems with the deer. Someone left the gate open. So that happens. The garden is in a public area and not everybody closes up the gate. And then if you see over here on the driveway on either side of those poles, there's some leftover mulch and leftover compost, which should have been put in the gardens when they put the gardens to bed. Now, this is the shed. You've seen the shed before. That's where we keep all our tools and things like that. And we've got a picnic table to kind of use for a potting table and one bench. It's nice to sit here, but there is no shade. So on a hot day, it's kind of a little much. And here's another place we're vulnerable for deer. This big, huge space and this little teeny fence. So hopefully we'll address the fence issue. Now, here's what the beds look like. Most people have, put their garden to bed. Hopefully they've amended their soil. And some of these beds have been repaired. New wood put down, which is nice because one of the beds that they fixed is mine. And that's where I've got my garlic growing. So I'm happy about that. Some people have 3 beds, some people have 2 beds. Most of the people on this side have been grandfathered in, which means they've been gardening here for 2, 3, 4 years or since the beginning. And then other people just have 1 bed, they're just starting out. So this is what things look like. Some people have committed to their system for keeping the deer out, and that involves these T-posts. They can get a little pricey, but they're very sturdy. And I'm filming in the southwest corner of the community garden. And as you can see down here, this one bed needs to be repaired, and the one next to it got new wood, and it's all repaired, but it looks like it was abandoned because there's lots of overgrowth here. Now, the community garden is surrounded by a natural hedge, which is beautiful in May. But as you can see, there's a nice little gap here for the deer to get through. And this fence is maybe up to my knee, in height. So that really makes us vulnerable for the deer. So we need to address that and fix it somehow. So like I said, these beds here look like that they were abandoned last year. So I don't know how many people signed up for 2023. I will find out next week. I'm going to have a meeting with the head of the Parks Department and see if I can get some insight on the course of the community garden, what the vision is, and see if it lines up with my vision. Now, these folks, looks like they planted some garlic and then they mulched it with straw. And I see a little bit of plants coming up there, so that's good. I'm in zone 6A, so you really need to mulch your garlic so it can weather the snow. Now this bed over here, I think I have addressed that more than once. This lady put up some T-posts and some plastic fencing, and then she gets in and out of it by undoing the zip ties that she's got around here on the other side. So that looks like that's her little door system, and it looks like it's come loose. So while I'm here, I'll put hers back up. I don't know if she's got anything planted, but she's got a little stick here, and then this goes in the ground. So it could be the animals opened the gate, or could be kids and shenanigans. So here you can see some more overgrown beds. I don't know if those are abandoned beds, or, there's lots of reasons. People sometimes get overwhelmed with what they've got going on. COVID, people got sick, people go on vacation, lots of reasons. Obviously, this bed needs repaired. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, row 4, bed B. So I'm just here today to kind of do a little inventory, look around the garden, see where the opportunities are for improvement, what needs to be repaired, that kind of thing. So the ground is very wet here, and I don't know if we actually need to have all of this grass in the community garden. It really doesn't do much for the garden. Again, here's another view of the fence and how short it is. The deer just, poke their head through this hedge here. So that particular fence isn't doing a lot of good. And obviously this big open area says, jump through. You can eat all our veggies. The banquet. So now I'm heading over to the northwest side of the garden. And we have an area that's called Share the Harvest, and that's that big empty space way in the back. These 3 beds are supposed to be for people that have handicaps. This bed was abandoned, and this one really needs a good clean out. So we've got lots of grass here, and in my opinion, we need to get rid of all this grass. It really doesn't have any function other than something to mow and maintain. So maybe there's another idea for that. Like I said, this is the Share the Harvest. I'd like to see that all planted with raised beds. We have a water source here, and we also have water sources at the end of those beds there. So we've got 1, 2 over on the other side, one over there, and one over here. I'd like to see a potting bench here and maybe an outside sink so we could wash our veggies when we're done. And obviously wash our hands. That's just the nurse in me speaking. Here's our herb garden. So you'll see that the perennial herbs will come back. The thyme, the oregano, something like basil will have to be replanted. And that's our cultivator garden. That tree in the middle is Juneberry or serviceberry. The birds just love that. And we've got daisies and purple coneflowers and a bunch of other stuff there. These are the last 3 rows of the community garden. So it looks like quite a few of those beds have been replaced. Let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Yeah, maybe 11 beds have been replaced. Somebody's got some kale growing here, which is great because kale gets sweeter once it's got a frost. So that's kind of exciting. And then here's another gate, which isn't in particularly good shape. It closes, but the area above the gate, the deer can easily jump through that. So you're going to find a repeat theme here of me mentioning the deer, because the deer are definitely a nuisance here in this garden. Here's a couple more beds that look abandoned. So that would be 13, row 13, the last 2 beds in this row. So I think it's E and F. And over here, we've got some raspberry bushes. This would be another area that would be good for blueberries, currants, gooseberries, all that kind of stuff. And then in this back corner is where the butterfly bush is, and that's doing really well. It attracts a lot of birds and butterflies, but again, with the fence, there's a big gap right there. And there's a big gap right here, and just a little low fence. So this is doing nothing to keep the deer at bay. And this is where we had all the sunflowers. So that's a perfect spot for the sunflowers. If you plant sunflowers in your garden, you're going to get seeds everywhere and sunflowers where you don't want them. This is a great spot because the butterflies can get at them, the bees can get at them, and little rodents and things can get after them. They got their own spot. Looks like somebody had a suet feeder up here that's knocked over. I'm sure that's a squirrel thing. And then again, the fence. This is where the deer can get in quite easily. Now, we usually keep our compost truck here where this big wide fence is. No truck now. Plenty of room for the deer to jump over this fence.